In this video, we will be working with local files in Python. And what I have done for this video is I created a local directory. If I toggle this open, I can see that I have a working directory and a directory for files. Currently, there's nothing in there, but we will be writing to and reading from files using that directory. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to write to the file. And the proper way to do this is use the with statement. So with, and we're going to use the open function. And so what we're going to be using is a relative path. So I'm going to use a // and we're going to go into our local files folder, and we'll just call it myfile.txt. And the next thing we need to do is pass in the mode, and the mode that we will be using since we're writing to the file is W. And then we're going to set the f variable to the file, and then we're going to use the write function, so f.write. And we're just going to call this is the first line. And then we'll just create a second line also. And then if I go ahead and save this file and run it, and so nothing happened, no errors, so we have to go back and inspect the file. So if we open our file, we see that it did print to the file, except there are no line breaks. It just printed everything to one line. So what we need to do to fix that is we need to pass in a line break after each line using a \n. So if we go ahead and do that and rerun it, and let's take a look at our file again. Now it did exactly what we wanted it to do. So it printed a line, put in a line break, the second line. Now we actually have a third line because we did put a line break at the end of the second line. It's important to know that every time we run this, it's going to, since we're writing to the file, if there's stuff that's already in there, the file already contains content, it's going to overwrite and erase the whole thing. There's also another mode that we could append to the file, which we will cover here in a few minutes. So let's go ahead and return back to our working file. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to read the file that we just wrote to. So what we need to do for that is with open. And we're going to just go to the same path here. Now, instead of passing the W for write mode, we're going to pass an R for read. And we'll set that to F. And we'll just make a new variable called contents. And so what we want this time is f.read. So the read function is going to read the everything that's in the file. And then we can go ahead and print our contents. And if I save that and come over here and run that, then both of our lines just print out. So what we've read is what we've done in this example was we're setting the entire contents to a variable. Another option that we have is a lot of times we will need to read one line at a time, especially if we're going through something like a CSV file or something that's got structured data in it. So we can go ahead and do that. So we need to go with. In fact, I'm just going to go ahead and copy this line. So we're going to set a new variable called line is f.readLine. So we go ahead and print our line, and we'll use some string interpolation here. And I'm just going to go ahead and paste this because we have two lines, so we'll just go ahead and read two lines. And if I save that and come over here and run that, now we have a bit of an issue where it's basically, since there's a line break at the end, it's basically skipping a line. So the problem with this statement also is we don't know how many lines are actually in the file, so we don't know how many times to keep repeating. So we're going to use another example for that. And then we can actually loop through each line with a for loop. So we're going to call this for line in F. And then let's just go ahead and print the line. So save the file and run it. So we do have the same problem as we had before, since we're basically inserting a line break, so we're getting a blank line in between each one. So we can fix this. We can strip the \n character. So we'll just call line equals, and we're going to right strip, so r strip. That means we're stripping from the, starting with the right character. So we'll just go \n. If we go ahead and run that, then now we get our content printed out with no extra line breaks. Now it's important to note also that the right strip method. So by default, so we can pass in any character that we want stripped out, but by default, if we pass nothing in, it is going to remove all the blank space types like blank spaces. It'll remove automatically the line breaks, and then \T for tab. So we can actually take this out and we should get the exact same result. I'm going to go ahead and clear this first. Then obviously we got the exact same result. So we can just call the right strip without passing anything in. And there's yet another way to open the file and loop through all the content. So I'm going to copy another example here, and we'll just set a new variable called lines. And so what we need is f.read, which is a method we called in an earlier example. And then on top of that, we need to chain on the split lines function. And then now that we have basically lines in a list, we can just go ahead and loop through each line. And save that and run. And then, so we got the same result as the previous statement, except we did not have to call the right strip method. It just split lines automatically and just handle that for us. So all we need to do is loop through the lines and print them out. And finally, the final mode I wanted to cover is we can also append to the file. Actually, let's just go ahead and copy. And so let's go ahead and change the mode from read to append, which is A. Let's call this f.write. And we save that and run it. If we go back to our file, we can see that we have appended a third line. So the good thing about the append mode is, number one, we don't have the permission to overwrite anything. And then we can't read either. We can only add something to a file that already exists. So it's a very good constraint to have to prevent other content from getting destroyed. So this is the very basics of opening a file and writing to and reading from that file. Thank you for watching.